Finding an activity to do with your child that challenges and pushes you both to be better, that builds character, and is something you can learn together is a fantastic thing.
At Okamikai Martial Arts and Fitness, we thrive on positive feedback from our students, so you can just imagine how happy we were to hear from Jessica and her daughters as they gave their thoughts about our classes.
Classes are always fun, and I always learn something new.
Fun and learning, all while getting out and getting active. That's one of our goals, and according to these amazing ladies, we're doing our job and doing it well.
I see the excitement and the joy that they have to go to class to learn and improve.
Contact us today to find out what everyone is talking about. Our family can't wait to meet your family.
Okamikai is my favorite place to be.
Okamikai Martial Arts and Fitness. Check us out at okamikai.com.
Everything is my favorite thing to do in class.
Welcome to the Okamikai Chronicles, a podcast devoted not only to students at Okamikai Martial Arts and Fitness, but also to the fans of our school and maybe even other martial artists who are curious about what's happening in our small area of the martial arts world. I'm Scott Campsall, and I'm the chief instructor at Okamikai, which is located in Uxbridge, Ontario, Canada. Today's episode is all about parenting young martial artists. So whether you've got a white belt ninja in training, a brown belt on their way to black, or even a young black belt who still needs some support at home, I want to talk about your role as a parent in all of this. Now don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to memorize Japanese terms or even start doing classes with us, although of course that is an option. But I do want to share some real, honest, helpful ways that you can support your child, not just with rides to class or helping them tie their belt, but in how you show up for them emotionally, mentally, and even in those quiet car rides that matter way more than most people realize. We know when our students are getting support from their family. So let's see if we can make you an even bigger influence as to how far your child will go with their martial arts training. Let's start that moment when you're in the car and you're driving to class. You've had a long day, they've had a long day, and maybe they're dragging their feet a little. Here's what I want you to pause and think. What kind of tone are you setting before they walk through those dojo doors? Because your child's brain is really smart, and they're predicting how this is going to go before they even take their shoes off. If they hear stuff like, "Don't embarrass me," or "You better focus today," then they start the class already tense. They're walking in feeling like they have to prove something. So instead, what I recommend is trying this. Keep it light. Ask what they're excited to try. Or maybe even don't talk about karate at all. Sing in the car. Crack a joke. Let the atmosphere feel relaxed and safe. Because when a kid feels safe walking in, they're a lot more likely to be open to learning once they're there. And I'm not saying that, again, if they're dragging their feet, I'm not saying that there aren't going to be days when they aren't performing up to your standard. And I'm doing air quotes even though we have an audio-only podcast. Of course, there's going to be days where you're going to see them rock, and there's going to be days where you're going to see them not pushing to the extreme that you'd like to see them, but they're there, and they're doing their best. And yeah, their version of the best and your version of the best may not be exactly the same that day. But in martial arts, as with a lot of things, it's not the accumulation of a huge amount of efforts every single time. It's consistency. I play golf, not very well, and not as often as I'd like. I guess that's the saying that any golfer says. But what I have learned over the years of playing is that your game isn't pivotal on your drive. When you go off the tee, you can hit a great shot, but if your short game isn't all that good, then you're going to start accumulating strokes. And in the end, you could have had the best drive. You could have had something that went way over 200 yards. You could even be right next to the pin. But if your putting is terrible, then that's going to cost you. So yeah, they could come off a huge class that's so great and they're just amazing in this one moment. And then the next class, they falter a little bit. Or again, it's been a long day. Or maybe they didn't get enough sleep the night before. That doesn't mean that their whole martial arts career, for lack of a better way of describing it or lack of a better word, is all going to go down the toilet. Sometimes it just takes patience and understanding and realizing that black belts don't come overnight or martial arts goals don't come overnight. So now let's fast forward to the drive home. This is where so many well-meaning parents go into performance review mode, saying stuff like, you didn't pay attention, or you need to try harder, or why weren't you listening? And again, I get it. You're trying to help. But your child just gave everything they had in class. Again, maybe it wasn't to your standard, but as far as they were concerned, it was everything they had, mentally, physically, emotionally, and now their brain is in cool down mode. They went to class. They didn't fight you to get there. They got in the car. And maybe they did fight you to get there, but they got in the car. So what they need right now is connection and not correction. So what works better? Try a simple line. I loved watching you today. That's it. Let them be the ones to open the door if they want to talk. And if they don't, that's okay too. The car can be a safe space for silence. One of the biggest things I try to remind parents is that you're not the instructor. You don't need to fix their technique. That's our job. Your job is to be their anchor. I'm going to divide our parents into two groups. There are the people that are training with us and the people that aren't. And if you are training with us, then you know what kata is supposed to look like. You know what the techniques are supposed to look like. Now, you have to realize that you're an adult doing those techniques, so your hand-eye coordination is going to be better, your strength's going to be better, your body coordination is going to be better, and how you move and how you relate to what's being taught and how you perform your own martial arts. You have to look at it at the point of what is this age of this child? What is their stage of development? How are they interpreting what's being taught and how are they able to perform that? And so, like I said, one of the biggest things that we say is that we are the instructors. You're not. So even if you are a student and you could be higher ranked than your child, you're not the teacher. You can be helpful, but you're not supposed to be teaching them. And your expectations can't be put on your kid. And trust me, I'm not only the instructor, but I've also been a person who had to teach his child how to do karate. And quite honestly, I passed Jacob over to Renji Dave and I let him do a lot of the instruction. And there were so many moments where I remember saying something to Jacob and he totally took it the wrong way. And I can't even remember a specific example, but I know he was sensitive to my comments. Because it wasn't just his teacher telling him when he needed to improve, it was his dad. And so you could have the best intentions as a high-ranking martial artist or even just somebody who's at the same rank as your child. You could have the best intentions when you're trying to critique your child. But in the end, you have a different relationship with your child than what we have as instructors. And it is way more significant than you realize. And if you're a parent who hasn't been training with us, then now you actually are in a worse situation because of the fact that you don't know what you're talking about. To be quite honest, you don't know what kata is supposed to look like. You don't know. You're taking it from what you think it's supposed to look like. And you could be even looking at some of our other instructors and then trying to compare that to your child, which is totally unreasonable. Some of our instructors have been with us for way over 10 years doing the same thing. And if I was going to look at this from just learning a language, if I put you in a foreign language course, and let's say it's German, let's say German, and I put you in a German course, and you've only been doing German for about a year, but somebody else who's been doing or learning how to speak German for 4 years, I compare them to you. They might say exactly the same words, but they're going to have a totally different accent maybe. They're going to understand how to verbalize words that might be basic to them or basic to you, but they're going to know how to do it better. And so to try to expect your child to do things the same way as someone who's been doing them for a longer period of time is just, quite frankly, it's unreasonable. So your job, whether you've been training with us or not training with us, is to be your child's anchor. Be that steady presence that's proud of them, whether they nailed their kata or completely forgot it in the middle of class. Because trust me, when they have your unconditional support, they're way more likely to stick with martial arts long term. Your love shouldn't depend on the belt color that they have around their waist. It should depend on their courage to show up. And so with all that being said, let's get into some practical tips that make a huge difference. 1, watch a class now and then, even just once in a while. They notice when you're present. It tells them that this matters. And I'll also just put in a little sidebar here. get off your phone. You have a child that's performing and doing an activity for, depending on their class, either a half an hour, 45 minutes, or if you're in our teens class, for about an hour. This is important to them. And if you want to be able to have a conversation about something that's important to them, you need to be involved as well. And no, again, I'm not asking you to get on the floor and do anything, although it would be great if you joined your child and did something. I know that my child taught me so much about my surroundings and my world, and my whole world expanded because he wanted to learn something. I learned how to play drums. I learned how to play guitar. I learned more about baseball. I learned about hockey. I didn't play baseball. I didn't play hockey, but getting involved with something that your child is doing can totally educate you. We spent hours at the zoo because my child was interested in the gorillas. We spent like hours at the gorilla enclosure just because he was fascinated with gorillas. We learned their names. We learned how old they were. Your child can teach you just because of the fact that they are not you. But moving on, number 2, use dojo language at home. Words like respect, discipline, focus, use them during dinner, bedtime, chores. It reinforces the values beyond the mats. We have character words that we use in our Little Dragons classes for ages 3 to 5, and each month we focused on a different word. Talking about that word of the month, we have had so many parents give us such positive feedback about this idea. And the words aren't like little simple, be good or try hard. These are words like charisma, optimism, loyalty. And so they're learning bigger words and they're understanding their meanings, and then they're acting on them. So of course, any kind of encouragement that you can create at home that can back up our lessons, that's going to increase their value. Number 3, create rituals around class. A post-karate smoothie or ice cream or something like that. Maybe not ice cream all the time, but something where they know this is part of what is involved with karate. Maybe, I don't know, a belt tying race. You can go, if parents are looking for white belts, we've got loads of white belts. And granted, they might be small, but you only need to be able to tie it. So let's see if you can tie your belt faster than your child can. Or even just asking them and saying, okay, when we get in the car, we're going to talk about what was the funniest thing that happened in class today. And so every time you're finished class, that's the number one thing you go to. It's not just going to be, did you have fun in class? No, you've got the ritual. The ritual is, we are going to talk about the funniest thing that happened in class today. And this keeps the experience feeling fun and safe. Number 4, validate their feelings. If they're upset that they didn't get promoted or didn't get a compliment or something, don't just brush it off, especially our little dragons. So our little dragons, we do their gradings in class. And part of the reason why we do it is because usually they're smaller gradings. There's only maybe, less than a half a dozen usually when we test them. So we don't want to kill the little dragons class because some are moving up. But the other thing that we've noticed over time is that the ones that aren't moving up have to deal with the fact that they didn't get passed over, but it wasn't their time to get promoted yet. And so what we try to do is we try to say, hey, you still need to encourage the other students who did get promoted, because eventually it's going to be your turn and you're going to want their support and their ability to cheer for you. But the conversation at the dojo should be a little different than the conversation that's happening at home. It's okay for your child to be upset. And so something that you could do as a parent is to say, I know that meant a lot to you. It's okay to feel disappointed. And that kind of empathy is going to build trust. When they realize that you understand why they're upset, and you don't say something like, well, you're going to have to work harder so you rank up, or saying that they are being silly because of the fact that they're sad that they didn't get that promotion. Maybe get on their level and understand where they're coming from. And again, give them that support that they want and that they need. Number 5, celebrate consistency. Those days where they don't feel like going to class, but they still go anyway, that's major. Celebrate the showing up. Tell them stuff like, you didn't feel like going tonight, but you went anyway. That's a win. Make sure that they notice that you noticed that they pushed it, because there are days when even our adult students don't want to go and they still show up, but we sort of just sweep that kind of self-discipline under the rug because we know that parents have, or adults have, more self-discipline than kids do. But if adults can have those moments, then kids can too. And when kids push themselves to go, or they accept the fact that they have to get in the car and go to class, that's major. And I've said this more times than not, that we're not just teaching punching and kicking, we're teaching stuff like that. And that's why I get so frustrated when parents say that they want to pull their kids away and give them a break, or they want them to quit because they're not interested in going to class. That's the time. That's the real education. That's the point where, yeah, everybody has to do stuff that they don't like to do. But if they keep on pushing through it, that's when they get rewards. That's when they get belt promotions. That's when they get recognition. So that's a major teaching moment. And we may not be, as instructors, the ones who can teach them that lesson, because what we did was they showed up for class, we taught them, and then they left. You're the one who knows when they didn't want to go and they still did it. And so bringing that to their attention and then giving them a reward of praise, that will be remembered, so that the next time, hopefully, that they don't feel like they want to go, they remember, no, my mom and dad were really proud of me when I did this. And I was proud of me too, because I ended up going to class and I really enjoyed myself. I got to push through this. Consistency and learning about consistency, that's a huge life lesson for so many things. Now, putting all of this together, and here's why we like encouraging behavior by reward instead of encouraging behavior by fear, is that there are 4 key happy brain chemicals that actually shape your child's experience in training. Dopamine is triggered by positive feedback and small goals. Oxytocin is created through connection, hugs, laughter, eye contact. Serotonin builds confidence through steady, calm encouragement. Endorphins are released by joy, music, movement, laughter. And so you can get all of those chemicals created just by how you are interacting with your child as they are going to and from, and I guess during their martial arts training. You can support your child's entire learning process just by creating an emotional environment that feels safe and steady. This isn't just about parenting nicely. It's about building their capacity to handle challenges, bounce back, and keep showing up. And let's talk about that. What happens when they don't want to keep showing up? Because at some point, your child's going to say, I don't want to go, maybe once, maybe for a whole month, and that's okay. Instead of saying, too bad you're going, or fine, I guess we're done, try this. Ask them if they can tell you why. Ask them what part of the class is hardest for them right now. And ask them when they don't want to go if it's actually the training or if it's something else that's stopping them from going. Sometimes it's just a rough day. Sometimes they're stuck in a skill plateau, and it happens with any activity. It happens in the gym. People will say, I'm peaking. And sometimes your child does need a break, but not from martial arts, just from the pressure that they're feeling around it. So maybe we've got to relax that pressure. I know we've had more than a few conversations with parents that are asking us when their child is ready for their next belt, or what do they have to do to get their next belt. And goal setting is good, but in the end, if you have a child that just likes going to class, that's totally fine. I will say this until I am done, dead, and in the dirt. I got most of my belts because I just kept coming to class. I'm not saying that I didn't apply myself towards my gradings. What I'm saying is that my belt promotions all happened from me just showing up. And so it might be that your child is feeling pressure from something in the class, that they're not doing a technique the way they want to do it, or they're having a tough time memorizing their curriculum, or whatever it is. But you won't know unless you have a dialogue with them. And an open dialogue leads to a stronger commitment later. So in the end, here's the bottom line. Every car ride, every compliment, every moment you choose to listen instead of lecture, it all matters. Because your voice, that becomes your child's inner voice. So let it be calm, let it be proud, let it say, you've got this, and I'm right here with you. And just like you're saying that to them, I will say it to you. You've got this, and we are right here with you. If you've got questions, by all means, message us, contact us. And if this helped you or reminded you of your own parenting wins or maybe even stumbles, please share it with another dojo parent. We're all figuring this out together. And as we say here at Okami Kai, we are stronger together. So until next time, I will see you either on the mats or on the sidelines. Thanks for listening. This has been a Campsall Broadcasting production. If you want a really quick parenting hack for how you can look like you're involved in your child's activity, smile a lot, nod a lot, bow a lot, and just act like you understand everything that we say in Japanese.